rugged heart of Texas, where the Serpentine Mountains loom over Pine Ridge Valley, a silent war is about to begin. For 20 years, Ethan Cole was a ghost in the shadows, a legend in the special forces, a sniper whose name was only spoken in whispers. Now he lives quietly on a remote farm, far from battlefields and bloodshed, or so he thought. But peace is a fragile thing. Mexico's most brutal cartel, Los Cartels, has marked his land for takeover, mistaking him for just another aging rancher. What they don't know is that Ethan Cole isn't just any veteran. He's the most lethal Green Beret in U.S. military history. The next 5 days? A masterclass in asymmetric warfare. No soldiers, no reinforcements, just a man, his land, and a deadly set of skills honed in fire. What unfolds will become a blueprint for how one ghost dismantled an empire. With nothing but farming tools, combat instincts, and the kind of tactical brilliance that even seasoned warriors envy. Quick pause. Where in the world are you watching from? Hit subscribe if this story already has you hooked, because tomorrow's chapter will blow you away. This isn't just a fight, it's a reckoning. Because the deadliest predators, they don't growl, they wait. And when they strike, it's already too late. That morning, frost crackled beneath Ethan's boots as he walked his land. The sky burned amber over the mountains, and at his side, his German shepherd, Echo, moved like a shadow. Ethan may be 53, but every motion was pure discipline. Eyes scanning, instincts sharp. The tire tracks in the mud weren't from any local truck. They were deep, heavy, wrong. "Something's off," he muttered. Echo growled in agreement. A truck pulled up. Grace Palmer, his neighbor. "Ethan, thank God. Did you hear about the Hendersons?" "What happened?" "They're gone. Vanished overnight. This morning, strange men, black SUVs. And they weren't from here." Ethan's face didn't flinch, but the gears in his mind were already spinning. "Cartel," he said quietly. Grace's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "They've been moving in from the south, buying up land. And if people don't sell, they find other ways," Ethan finished. "Have they come to you?" "Not yet, but they hit Miller's last week. Big money offers, then pressure. People say they're setting up routes, using farms as cover." Ethan nodded slowly. It made sense. Rural properties, easy traffic, built-in storage, perfect logistics. "These aren't just thugs," Grace whispered. "They're organized. And the sheriff? He's drowning. No one's standing up to them." Ethan patted her door. "They'll come here eventually. I'll be ready. You just stay alert." As she drove off, Ethan whistled for Echo and walked toward the barn. Beneath the ordinary tools and hay bales was a secret cellar, installed years ago when paranoia was still part of his bloodstream. Today, it felt like prophecy. He pulled up the false floor. Gear he hoped never to use again. Military comms, weapons, tactical maps, all waiting in silence. That's when Sophie, his daughter, stepped into the doorway. Mrs. Palmer looked worried, she said, eyes landing on the open hatch. She didn't ask questions. She already knew. "They're coming," Ethan said. "They're taking farms, turning this valley into a trafficking route." Sophie's jaw tightened. "What do you need from me? Watch, listen. Don't be seen doing it. And if anything feels wrong, tell me first." Engines growled in the distance. Through the barn window, they saw 3 black SUVs creeping past their gate. "Too slow to be casual," Sophie muttered. "They're scouting," Ethan said flatly. "Marking targets, ours is next." His phone buzzed. Sheriff Barnes. "They're moving fast. 7 farms taken this month. Watch your back." Ethan pocketed the phone, already unfolding maps in his office. His land sat at a critical junction. 3 roads, high ground, a tactical gold mine. No wonder they wanted it. That day passed in uneasy silence, every chore laced with tension. But as the sun dipped low and cast long shadows across the valley, Echo barked, sharp and loud. The SUVs were back. This time, they didn't just pass by. They stopped, right at the gate, and Ethan Cole, the ghost of war, stepped back into the fight. Ethan adjusted his worn baseball cap and took a steady breath. Time to become the man they expected, a harmless old farmer. Let them believe it. Let them make the mistake of underestimating him. They'd only do it once. 5 men stepped out of the black SUVs, their designer suits clashing with the gritty Texas dust. Ethan's sharp eyes picked up 2 more lingering by the vehicles, hands tucked beneath their jackets, armed. Echo, his loyal German shepherd, growled low, but a calm hand from Ethan kept him still. Leading the pack was Diego Vega, polished boots, a too smooth smile, eyes cold as winter steel. "Mr. Cole," he said, extending a hand. "Beautiful property you've got here." Ethan shook it. The grip was too firm. Amateur power play. Rookie mistake. "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" Ethan asked, voice casual, his gaze already scanning. 2 men drifting toward the barn, another near the gate with a radio. Military backgrounds, maybe, but sloppy, too relaxed. "We represent an investment group," Vega said, motioning toward the valley. "We're expanding. Your land has unique features we're interested in." Ethan leaned against the fence post, every bit the laid-back rancher. But in his mind, he was already mapping fields of fire, marking weapon placements, calculating reaction times. He recognized at least 3 former soldiers. The others, just muscle. "I'm not looking to sell," he said. "This land's been in my family for generations." Vega's grin tightened. "Maybe I wasn't clear. We're offering $3 million, cash. That's a generous deal, Mr. Cole." Ethan scratched Echo behind the ear, keeping one eye on the men near his barn. They weren't inspecting real estate. They were surveying angles, planning a breach. "Money's not everything," Ethan replied. "Some things just aren't for sale." Vega stepped closer, dropping the polite act. "This valley's changing. You could be part of it, or you could be left behind." Ethan didn't blink. Or what? The men around him subtly shifted. They were surrounding him now. Textbook intimidation. Ethan had seen it before, in war zones, not front porches. "Or you might find the valley becoming unfriendly," Vega said. "Accidents happen, especially to old men who don't take good offers." Ethan stood upright. The mask slipped just a little, letting them feel the weight behind his calm. "Sounds like a threat, Mr. Vega." The use of his name made Vega pause. Ethan wasn't supposed to know that. It was a calculated reveal, just enough to shake them. "The valley is evolving," Vega said, trying to recover. "Fighting that? Not wise." Just then, one of the men by the barn shouted something in Spanish, spotted the obvious cameras. Ethan had placed them there on purpose. The real surveillance was buried, camouflaged, and 10 times more effective. "You've got 24 hours, Vega said, handing over a business card. "After that, the offer gets less friendly." Ethan glanced at the card. Fake company. Classic cartel front. "I'll sleep on it," he said. "See that you do," Vega replied. Then he paused, eyes on Echo. "Beautiful dog, German shepherd, huh? Would be a shame if something happened to him." Echo growled again, picking up Ethan's tension. Ethan's voice dropped, calm but edged with steel. "That would be a very serious mistake." The weight of those words hit harder than any bullet. For a second, Vega's mask cracked. They had come expecting a pushover. Instead, they got a glimpse of something else. Something they didn't understand and weren't ready to face. As the SUVs rolled away, Sophie stepped out from the house, her rifle steady in her hands. She had been watching the whole time. "They'll be back," she said. Ethan nodded. "Yeah, but not how they expect." Inside, Ethan activated his real defenses. Motion sensors lit up the valley map. Hidden cameras fed into a command hub buried beneath the farmhouse. His personal war room, built for days like this. He pulled up satellite images, marking cartel-controlled properties. 7 farms had fallen in just a month. His was the last piece of the puzzle, the access point, the high ground. His phone rang. Grace Palmer. "I saw them," she said, voice tight. "Those SUVs were at your place, weren't they?" "Just a business offer," Ethan said, checking his weapons. "Nothing to worry about." "Don't lie to me. Miller stood up to them. His barn burned the next day. His wife's car crashed the day after. No witnesses." "Grace," Ethan said, voice low, "listen carefully. I need you to leave. Today." Go stay with your sister in San Antonio. Don't tell anyone where you're going. And what about you? He paused. Better you don't know. Just trust me. Then he hung up, because the war had already started, and Ethan Cole was ready. They came for a rancher. They didn't know they'd awakened the ghost. Ethan descended into the cellar, a place most would overlook. Just another part of the farm. But down here, nothing was ordinary. Every weapon, every piece of gear sat exactly where he'd left it, cleaned and battle-ready. Years of training kicked in as he methodically field-stripped and reassembled his rifles, muscle memory guiding his hands like clockwork. Upstairs, Echo let out a low whine. Ethan froze. A vehicle approached, engine tone unfamiliar. He checked the cameras. Not Cartel. It was Deputy Lucas Reed, young and clearly nervous. Ethan met him at the gate, reading the tension in the man's stance before he even spoke. Mr. Cole, word is you had visitors today. Small town, Ethan said. News travels faster than trucks. Reed hesitated. Listen, about the others. The Hendersons, Miller. We know what happened. But these people, they're protected. Evidence vanishes. Witnesses change their stories. Ethan nodded slowly. And you're here to advise me to take the deal? Reed looked down, ashamed. They own half the valley. Fighting them is suicide. Appreciate the warning, Ethan replied. But I'm not the one who should be worried. As the patrol car pulled away, Ethan's phone buzzed. A secure message from an old contact in Border Patrol. This wasn't just about land grabs. Los Carros was building a major distribution hub. His land was the final piece. Sophie joined him on the porch, her eyes filled with fire. We're not running, are we? No, Ethan said, staring out at the dying light. We're not. Good, she replied, because this is our home, and I'm done watching bullies chase good people away. Ethan allowed himself a grim smile. The cartel thought they were facing an old rancher. By morning, they'd realize their mistake, but by then, it would be too late. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. We've got more coming, and trust us, it only gets more intense from here. Now, back to it. Night fell like a steel curtain over Pine Ridge Valley, the kind of silence that sets dogs on edge. Echo's ears twitched. Ethan was in the barn, hands moving with silent precision, converting farming tools into defensive weapons. It was muscle memory, years of battlefield improvisation in places no one wanted to remember. You wanted them to see those cameras, Sophie said, tightening bolts on a modified irrigation sprayer. People find what they expect, Ethan replied calmly. They stop looking after that. Then, Echo growled, low, warning. 3 seconds later, motion sensors triggered. Sophie slid into the shadows just as she'd been trained. Ethan kept working, pretending to be unaware. In the window's reflection, Sophie spotted them. 2 men in the tree line, military posture, not locals. Ethan gave a slight nod. Good girl, what else? 3rd man by the creek, mapping blind spots. Standard recon, Ethan murmured. Suddenly, a truck's headlights burst through the darkness. Grace Palmer. Her timing, as usual, was anything but subtle. They scattered, Sophie said. Grace stepped out. If I had to guess, ex-Mexican special forces. Their movement patterns give it away. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Been a while since you did pattern analysis at Langley. Some skills don't fade, she said, eyeing his setup. Like how your random tool placement creates tactical choke points. Efficient use of space, huh? She showed him her phone. 3 more farms sold today. Cash. No questions asked. The holdouts are getting scared, she said. And they should be. This isn't about drugs anymore, Ethan replied. It's infrastructure. And my land? It's the last piece. Just then, Sheriff Barnes pulled up, looking like he hadn't slept in days. I've got news, he said. Let's take this inside. In the kitchen, he spread out a map dotted with red. Each mark. A farm now under cartel control. State police picked up chatter, Barnes said. This ain't just buyouts. They're building a full-scale hub. Processing centers. Warehouses. Everything. My land, Ethan said, pointing to the map, controls the only access point. High ground. view of all three major routes. Barnes gave him a hard look. You saw that real quick for a farmer. Same way you saw it real quick for a small-town sheriff, Ethan replied. Barnes held his gaze. Cobalt, Kandahar. Green Beret, Ethan said with a nod. Though these days I prefer planting corn to planting charges. Barnes's tone darkened. Word is, El Cuervo himself is in charge of this operation. He's known for making examples of people. Let him try, Ethan said coldly. Grace's phone buzzed. Lost contact with all my sources in town. Something's wrong. They're cutting us off, Sophie said. No comms, no support, classic pre-assault play. Barnes looked at her, surprised. You trained her well. Ethan's voice softened. That was her mother. Rachel believed knowledge was the best defense. Before they could speak again, Echo barked, short, sharp, urgent. The warning had arrived. The storm was coming, and Ethan Cole was ready. 4 vehicles. Back approach, Ethan said quietly. Grace and Sheriff Barnes slipped out the side door as headlights swept the front of the house. 3 black SUVs crawled past, slower than before. They weren't hiding anymore. They were flexing, letting Ethan know he was being watched, letting him feel the pressure. Sophie crouched beside the tire tracks as the last vehicle disappeared down the road. These aren't the same as earlier, she said. Heavier tread, armored. Ethan gave a nod. They're done pretending to be businessmen. Next time, they're coming for war. How long? Grace asked, reappearing from the dark like the operative she used to be. New moon tonight, she added. Perfect for an assault. If they're smart, they'll wait for full dark. Ethan checked his watch. 4, maybe 5 hours. Barnes frowned. I'll make some calls, but don't count on backup. They've got eyes in the state police, maybe higher. I'm not counting on anyone, Ethan said as he headed for the barn. Just need time. Inside, a flick of switches revealed what the farm really was. Hidden panels slid open. Thermal cameras, comm jammers, surveillance arrays, military-grade weapons. Not a single piece was out of place. All these years, Grace whispered, stunned. You weren't just farming. Ethan's voice dropped. Rachel's death wasn't an accident. The cartel hit us. Meant for me. They missed. Took her instead. I've been waiting ever since. Now they're here, and they still don't even know it. Sophie snapped a magazine into her rifle with smooth precision. They think they're hunting a farmer. Ethan met her eyes. They're walking into a 20-year trap. Go to San Antonio, he told Grace. Barnes, get clear. This isn't something you want to be tied to officially. Like hell, Grace shot back. I didn't serve 15 years in the CIA to walk away from a fight, and your south perimeter has a blind spot. I might not bring the badge, Barnes added, but I know some folks, vets, people who owe me. Echo's ears twitched. Ethan moved to the monitors. Back roads lit up with movement. SUVs, transport trucks, too many. They're not waiting for dark, Sophie said, narrowing her eyes. Ethan smiled grimly. Good, means they're nervous. Nervous people make mistakes. Grace counted. 12 vehicles, multiple angles. They're coming in hard. This isn't intimidation anymore, Barnes said. This is war. Against one old farmer? Ethan tossed him a rifle. That's what they think. Let's show them how wrong they are. The sun dropped behind the mountains, stretching long shadows across Pine Ridge Valley. And in those shadows, Ethan Cole disappeared, no longer a farmer. Once again, he was the ghost. As dusk deepened, Ethan moved through the property one last time. Everything was in place. Every tool, every fence post, every pile of wood, strategically positioned for defense. The entire farm was now a fortress. First wave incoming, Grace whispered from her observation point. 4 vehicles, spaced wide. Lead cars are using thermal scans. Ethan watched signatures bloom on his screen. Let them scan. All they'll see is what I want them to. Sophie's voice crackled over the radio. 2 more groups in the back pasture. They're using the irrigation ditches for cover. Smart, Barnes commented, checking his sights. Until they realized those ditches were redesigned to funnel them exactly where we want them. Echo's ears perked, then the motion sensors triggered. They're close, Ethan said. Through thermal scope, he saw the first team advancing, tight formation, clean signals, night vision gear. Not street thugs, ex-military, professionals. House is cold, one of them reported in Spanish. No movement. They might have run, the voice of Vega replied in their earpiece. Old man's too stubborn to run. Find him. Grace's voice came in low. Two-man team approaching my position. Good ones. Almost missed them. Ethan gave her the green light. Your call. My pleasure, she said. Moments later, thump, thump, non-lethal takedowns. Targets neutralized, Grace confirmed, as requested, though I still say that's a mistake. We need them alive, Ethan said. They'll send a better message breathing. As planned, the cartel forces split up, sweeping wider. Every tactical decision they made played directly into Ethan's strategy. He'd studied movements like this for years. Their advantages were illusions, carefully designed traps. Movement at the house, Sophie warned. 4 men stacked up at Ethan's front door. Their entry technique was flawless, but they made one fatal assumption, that they were dealing with civilians. Now, Ethan ordered. A floodlight lit the porch, instantly blinding every man in night vision gear. 3 separate recordings of Echo's bark played from hidden speakers around the property, an auditory illusion to throw them off balance. Then came the sprinkler system. Not water. A special mix designed to kill thermal imaging dead. We're blind, someone shouted. Night vision's useless. And that's when Ethan Cole moved. 20 years of planning had led to this moment, and now the ghost was coming for them. Years of special forces training, fused with an intimate understanding of the land, made Ethan Cole a phantom in the dark. The first 2 cartel scouts dropped before they even realized they were being hunted. The third raised his weapon, only to be disarmed by a series of strikes too fast to follow. The fourth tried calling for backup, but their comms were already jammed. South team, report! Vega's voice cracked over the intercepted radio. Alpha, respond? Barnes watched through his scope. They're good, he murmured, but they're fighting blind. We own the night. Grace's voice came through their secure channel. Incoming vehicle. Gun truck. Heavy. Looks like .50 cal mounted. Right on schedule, Ethan replied. Sophie? The gun truck barreled up the main drive, ready to deliver overwhelming firepower until it hit the trap. Sophie triggered the modified irrigation system, instantly turning the hard-packed earth into thick, sucking mud. The heavy truck sank and skidded, dragged directly into a reinforced cable Ethan had rigged across the road. With a violent lurch, the engine choked out. Lights died. The crew, blinded and confused, never saw Ethan coming. They never had a chance to use their impressive weapons. 10 down, Ethan reported calmly. Non-lethal takedowns confirmed. Area secured, Grace added. But Ethan, those were just scouts. Thermals show more movement. A lot more. Los Carros doesn't like to be embarrassed, Ethan said, just as Vega's panicked voice returned. Someone give me a status update. What the hell is happening out there? Then a new voice cut in, measured, cultured, and cold. Enough games. This is El Cuero speaking. The weight in his tone was unmistakable. Whoever you are, you've impressed me. Most men would have broken by now, but you've just made a fatal error. No one defies my organization and lives to enjoy it. Ethan keyed his mic. For the first time, they heard his voice. Been a while since I had a proper challenge. Looking forward to meeting you. Silence. Then, who are you? Just a farmer protecting his land, Ethan said flatly. Though you might want to ask your men about my first career. The ones still conscious, anyway. The radio went dead. In the distance, the next wave approached. Bigger, heavier, deadlier. They're mobilizing everything, Grace reported. Thermals lighting up all over the valley. That was just phase 1. The real fight's coming. Good, Ethan replied. Means they're finally taking us seriously. Sophie, phase 2. Grace, fall back to second line. Barnes? 6 vets moving into position, Barnes said. Iraq, Afghanistan, solid men. Good, tell them to stay sharp. These aren't street gangs, they're ex-military, Mexican special forces most likely. They won't make the same mistakes twice. Echo's bark pierced the night. More engines. Sophie's voice remained steady. Dad? That speech about being a farmer? Think they got the message? Ethan allowed himself a grim smile. They will. By morning, they'll understand exactly why some old soldiers never really retire. The valley erupted in light and noise. Los Quieros had arrived in force. No more subtle moves, no more veiled threats. This was a full-scale assault. 18 vehicles inbound, Grace called from her position. Gun trucks, armored SUVs, tactical layout, not cartel muscle. This is a coordinated military strike. Ethan watched through his thermal scope. They weren't amateurs anymore. Vehicles spread with purpose. Fire teams dismounted in combat formation, weapons bristling, spotters, gunners, snipers. This is El Quiero's personal war party, he said. He brought a proper battlefield. They're deploying sniper teams, Sophie added. At least 3, high ground. Copy that, Barnes said. They're treating this like Fallujah. Exactly, Ethan replied. Which means we've got 'em where we want 'em. Intercepted their comms, Grace cut in. Encrypted, military grade, I cracked it. They've got 60 men in fire teams. Quiero's coordinating from a command vehicle in the rear. Another voice broke through the radio, this one colder, sharper. Mr. Cole, El Quiero said, you've proven resourceful, but surely you know resistance is useless. Surrender now and I'll make your death quick. Keep going, and I'll make you a cautionary tale told for generations. Ethan keyed his mic. You made one mistake. And what's that? You brought the exact force I've spent 20 years preparing to fight. The night exploded. El Quiero's men advanced with disciplined aggression, small unit tactics, strategic spacing, flawless communication. But what they didn't realize, every inch of Ethan's land was a battlefield he had built himself, and the ghost they were hunting was already hunting them. Ethan Cole spent 20 years preparing for a war no one saw coming. Using modified farming equipment, hidden jammers, and precision traps, he turned his land into a fortress. Every inch of terrain had a purpose. Every old tractor, every irrigation line, weaponized. The cartel expected a farmer. They got a ghost trained in special forces, a man who'd studied every tactic they brought. As elite troops advanced, their communications failed, night vision backfired, and carefully laid ambushes turned into nightmares. What looked like chaos was a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare. When El Cuervo, the cartel leader, realized who he was up against, he escalated. Armored vehicles, tactical teams, cybernetically enhanced soldiers, even experimental combat suits. But each time, Ethan was ready. His land was the weapon, not just the tools on it. You brought a private army, Ethan said, to fight a farmer, but you forgot. We don't just live on the land. We become part of it. El Cuervo's forces were outmaneuvered, their tech neutralized by systems Ethan built by hand, simple, durable, and untraceable. Even advanced EMPs and neural suits failed against his analog defenses. The final blow came when El Cuervo himself, in a bleeding-edge cybernetic suit, pushed his body into system failure, only to be contained by the Barnes last protocol, built to absorb the power of a detonating core. 20 years of quiet preparation had defeated $50 million of military-grade enhancements. In the aftermath, federal agents swarmed the valley, but found everything perfectly legal, documented, and built with public permits. Ethan hadn't just prepared for the battle. He had planned for the inspection, too. Now the valley is safe. New families are moving in, many of them veterans. The story has spread. What started as a single farm's defense has become a blueprint for self-sustaining community protection. And Ethan? He walks his land every morning, just like always. Ready for the next season, the next storm, the next threat. Because that's what farming is: preparation, patience, victory.